Good afternoon, guys. Hi, Simon. Hi, Piero. Hi, Vanessa. Welcome to the chapter 4. Now is the time to talk about something different. We talked a lot about hotels. Now we want to know more about this world of vacation rentals, guys, right?
I would start with Simon, probably.
Yeah,
Simon, sure. So tell me something. I would like to know about the evolution of the industry. So can you tell us more about, because of course, you know, vacation rental is something that became quite big over the last few years. So it would be great to have some kind of back history of what it used to be and what it is now, where you think the vacation rental is going in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Simone, and very happy to be here today as well. So I can see already Vanessa cringing when I'm being asked this particular question, but I've been in the vacation rental industry for 15 years, and we've seen massive changes from when we've started. So when I came into the industry in 2005, it was sort of, I considered it as a Tupperware industry or as a secondhand car dealer industry. It was not very well known. The products were not very, in most cases, not very nice, small apartments, sticky carpets, smelly furniture. So not really a good experience, but it's been around for a long time. And a lot of people haven't realized that. I've just listened to your previous session, which I was blown away by in terms of the technology discussion that these guys had and what level we're at. But in the hotel industry, but interesting enough, vacation rental is a lot older than the hotel industry. And I always say, you know, sharing economy is nothing new. We have neither Brian Chesky or anybody else has invented it. We've already shared our caves back in the Stone Ages when we were hunting for mammoth and it was raining on the way home. So we need to stay in someone else's cave. So we shared our caves then, and we still share our caves today. So what have we done? I mean, at the end of the day, you know, vacation rental, a few fundamentals. So one thing we need to point out here once again is that, you know, fundamentally, the ownership structure of vacation rental is different and will not change in a big way over the years to come, which means owners are, to 98% in more cases, individual owners who rent out their secondary home or even their primary home through a property manager or do it themselves. So classically, about 50% is professionally managed and about 50% is actually managed by the owner himself. And this is not going to be fundamentally changed. And this is obviously the big difference to the hotel industry, where hotels are mostly owned by real estate investors and run by management companies, where in our industry, we have no assets. So the only assets that we have is actually the one of a private owner, and the asset that we base our entire business on is built on trust. So this is the only thing that we have in vacation rental. And fundamentally from that, nothing has changed. What has changed since I've been in the industry, it has started to professionalize in a big way, especially on the distribution front, but also on the product side. You know, today to rent out a really bad place is very difficult to do, also because of reviews and because of many, many other reasons. We're attracting a very large part of travelers who choose vacation rental versus any other type of accommodation. It's still only 30% in today's world. So therefore, the addressable market we have going forward is massive, right? We can still address 70% of travelers who have not rented yet. So I think we see unprecedented times as also been in relation to COVID, but we can talk about this later. But it has been totally unprofessionally managed, run by, we call them sort of mom and pop shops who started with a few units, 20, 30 units, rented them out. The only opportunity you had to rent out the property was, you know, maybe you had some sort of website where you could show some products, but mainly you were able to advertise in local newspapers that you had vacation rentals to rent in a ski destination or whatever, and you started, and if they're larger companies, they started to print catalogs. The main channel in 2005, believe it or not, was still mainly retail. So travel retail, where, you know, travel agencies were served with these massive mountains of catalogs of like phone book types of inventory. You know, at Interhome, we had 24,000 properties, so you can imagine what it takes to put them into a catalog and then print them and then get them to the travel agents. And then ultimately, when a customer came in, they ended up somewhere in a bathroom where they could be read, right? So I think from that point, we came an awful long way when we start talking about distribution.
Couldn't hear
Sorry,
that.
I was mute. I was muted myself. And so that's fascinating. I mean, it's very interesting how vacation rental is this very different story from hospitality, but at some point they kind of merged, and now the borders between one and the other are becoming less visible in a way, right? So
absolutely.
So can you see that? Can you see this kind of mix between the two industries happening?
Absolutely. So one thing that we focused on very heavily at the time was to transform the business into a digital distribution. So we had two roads. We had the direct distribution with our own web presence, and others finding channels who were starting to distribute this type of inventory online. And I was in an amazing situation in 2007 at the private dinner at Focusrite conference, where I had the pleasure to meet the chairman of Priceline.com, Priceline Group at the time, Jeff Boyd, and we just met by surprise, right? And so we talked to each other, and that was sort of the time when HomeAway we started to become a topic to actually aggregate listings business in the industry, but it was not bookable. So I got into a conversation with Priceline.com, and he says, you know, I saw this presentation of Brian Sharples today. I really like what HomeAway is doing, but you know, their inventory is not bookable. It's all on request. It's basically a digitized advertising business, a listings business. And for us at Priceline and Booking.com, which I've already acquired, this is not a vertical, but we would love to have vacation. And this is really, this was the pivot point of how we decided to distribute in this industry through OTAs, without a doubt. Because he said to me, you know, if you could provide us vacation rentals on Booking.com, I would love it. And I said, well, I have it, because we can feed you 24,000 properties through an XML feed. We own the calendar, we have exclusive inventory, so we can actually do that immediately. So in this very moment, and he's obviously a great gentleman, he actually pulled out his mobile phone, excused himself, wrote an SMS to Darren Houston, who was running Booking.com at the time in Amsterdam, and said, hey, you have to meet this guy. They can bring us 24,000 properties. So to cut a long story short, you know, 2 weeks later, I was sitting in Darren's office in Amsterdam, and a year later, we announced that Interhome is distributing through Booking.com. And from then on, everything has evolved. So all the other channels started to go on top of it. TripAdvisor, HomeAway became bookable afterwards. So we basically started to educate the large marketplaces to sell vacation rental. But the biggest challenge, talking about your convergence, was we were addressing hotel customers. So you can appreciate the time we integrate with Booking.com, we literally had to double our call center to handle the inbound calls, because nobody was familiar with the product. And you know, I did a lot of traveling, went to visit my local offices who do key handling and everything. And once I was in Nice in 2008, we had this flustered lady in our office and saying, I'm looking for the hotel. And she's like, and we're like, no, you have booked a vacation rental. No, she goes, no, I booked it on Booking.com. It must be a hotel. I said, no, it was an apartment you booked on Booking.com. So 12 years fast forward, it has converged. So all these marketplaces have now mixed inventory. Airbnb has Hotel Tonight. HomeAway, obviously less, is still focused on vacation rental, but TripAdvisor started with hotels. Booking.com and everybody else has started to actually mash that inventory together. So the convergence has taken place, but we still need to do a better job in executing our product, but that's a different topic.
I could be wrong, but I think Booking.com now has more apartments than hotels.
Well, it's always, you know, is it a question of bedrooms? Is it a question of beds? Or is it, you know, that's a big question.
I think
so,
it's a
you know,
question
let us not forget one thing, you know, in the logic, and this was brutal for us, because first of all, in 2008, we provided them to, you know, and Piero is laughing here, he's been with us on that journey. You know, in 2008, we provided them properties that were bookable from Saturday to Saturday. So can you imagine a hotel booking engine going, what, Saturday to Saturday? Not daily, no daily rates. You know, where do you get the key? How to get my customers the key? What, I need to pay deposit? Are you crazy? Can I take my pet? Can't I? You know, we literally started from scratch, and we were still Saturday to Saturday bookable. So we literally had to educate these people. Now, in terms of numbers, and this is something we need to be very careful when we compare hotels with vacation rental, because at the end of the day, for a marketplace like an OTA, one hotel room equals a villa with 25 beds. So let us not underestimate that logic, because there's one calendar for one villa which has 20 beds, and that is considered one hotel room in terms of availability. So it's very hard to compare that also on average rates, ADRs, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I haven't thought about that. Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much, Simon. Vanessa, so we talk a little about the history of the vacation rental distribution. So now I would like to talk a little more about the future, and I would like to have your take on where the industry is going.
Thanks so much. I don't think we can talk about the future without talking a little bit about technology, and I was very much inspired by the last talk that you had, the last chapter, with all these wonderful tech companies in the hotel industry, and I wanted to share how it looks like in terms of technology in our world, because technology is much newer for us. We started later on. We don't have such.
So I'm not sure this is a bad thing. I think you actually lost all that legacy monster kind of solutions.
Yes, yes, exactly. We started fresh with the cool startups and technology that is very powerful. You know, in the last 10 years or so, we can do much more online, etc. So I did prepare 2 slides, but I don't know if you got them ready. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can give you the lowdown. So basically, we have the engine, the main engine in the VR world is the PMS, and the PMS is takes care of operations, and then the PMS, if it's clued on, which is the plug and play idea, would then connect to a channel manager and connect to a yield manager and connect to all sorts of services in the VR world, young startups that provide all sorts of technologies, and every year there's more startups coming on board. And then in terms of the PMS, so as Simon was saying, you know, we have 50% of owners and 50% of more professional companies. You have PMSs that try and do everything because it's they want to be cost effective for their customers, right? So an owner doesn't want to pay for a PMS, a channel manager, a yield manager, and all sorts of services. So they want all in one. So you'll find that there's PMSs that do all in one, and then you have PMSs that are more and more geared towards the enterprise type customer, and would participate in this marketplace, connect to specialized channel manager like ourselves, and to yield managers, etc. And the great thing is about this last years of the VR tech industry is that we see more and more enterprise type software companies coming on the market, because we don't have the muse of this world, the ideas of this world. I'd like to think we don't even have the site minders of this world, and so, you know, we still have a lot to do in terms of technology and help property managers professionalize themselves, and up until this day, property managers in our world have had to create their own technology because there was just nothing around. These guys have been around for 15 years. There was nothing around to help them. So in terms of technology, this is how it works, quite different from the hotel industry. So in terms of, you wanted to know about the future, what I think about the future of distribution. So for me, I see 2 things. We have noticed during the pandemic that the property managers that work with us, and also leads that come to us, have suddenly woken up to the fact that they wanted to increase their marketing mix in quite a bigger way, and there's been quite a demand for niche websites. So that's excellent news, I think, because it provides lots of movement in terms of distribution, lots of new OTAs coming on board, and so we've seen that happening. And because there's demand, you know, there's also new sites coming online. And the wonderful things about these new sites I've noticed in the last 2 years is that they really fill a gap that the large OTAs cannot fill in terms of providing the traveler with extra features for the search, for example. So take, for example, a very young startup called At Ease, who helps soldiers in America relocate, because I don't know if you know, the soldiers in America, they tend to move a lot from one base to another, and the wives of these soldiers, you know, they have to move the kids, they have to move everything, and they don't stay for very long. So they're looking for staying in longer term, mid-term vacation rentals, let's say, and this process is very stressful for them, and they want to know so many things in advance. And so this online travel agent called Ease is proposing to really fill the gap that you would never get into this kind of niche, right? And then we have tons of examples like this, you know, from obviously pet-friendly, sport tourism, all sorts of wonderful niche websites. And I think we're going to see an explosion of that, and hopefully they'll get investment, because obviously it's quite hard without BTC money. But yeah.
Well, there is quite some money in vacation rental right now. I think it's pretty good when compared to hotels. Yeah,
but BTC, you know, is its own game, right? It's a tough one. I think it's quite tough for listing sites to find money. But some of them are really sitting on gold as far as I'm concerned. And I keep on telling them, you know, Airbnb was a startup too at one point. It was a niche website too at one point.
It's interesting that you're talking about Airbnb, because, you know, a lot of people asked why Airbnb is going public only now. Okay, why now this IPO? But I think that, and you know, when you look at the numbers, Airbnb didn't suffer that much as Booking.com or Expedia, right? So it looks like vacation rental, especially during this COVID pandemic, is doing better than most hotels. And actually, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you know way more than I do when it comes to vacation rental. But I think this could be an amazing IPO for Airbnb. What do you think?
You mean to do an IPO? I really can't comment on that, I'm afraid. One, I have no idea if it's a good time or not. This is not my realm. And two, they're very good partners of ours, and I don't think they would give me permission to speak.
Okay, sorry. That's
fine.
Just forget it.
That they're doing well, definitely. I mean, VR is doing well. You know, all the stats show that, you know, and I hate to say it, but the pandemic has been quite good for us. You know, we're like right there on the map, and everybody's thinking VR, because now they can travel in terms of they can work away from home, so you can work from anywhere, work away from the office. I don't think that businesses are going to go back with asking people to go to the office 5 days a week anymore. I think we've learned that we can work remote, and so that's here to stay. And with that comes, you know, the digital nomad. And this is not a fad. This is for real. It's happening, and it's here to stay. People are going to move around. They're going to go and work from apartments, or they're going to stay 3 months, or they're going to stay 4 days. You know, and it's not viable to do that in a hotel. It's way more expensive, right? Sure. And so I think we're onto something. We're onto something really good here. I think this has propulsed us into a different stratosphere.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So Piero, so we talk a little about the history of distribution when it comes to vacation rentals. We talk a little about the technology and the different needs and different tech stack that vacation rental has when compared to hotels. Yeah. I would like to know more about the operational side of it, and I think you're like the best person to ask this.
Yes, Simone, ciao. Thank you for inviting me. It's so nice finally to talk with other colleagues about the hotels industry and talk about vacation rental with the hotel industry. And finally we speak and we talk about hospitality. So it was always funny to hear from Simone the story of the distribution of vacation rentals, because you can trust me or not, but vacation rentals born many years before Airbnb. So yes, we did not finally born with the Airbnb. I remember 15 years ago with Interim, when we opened the local office here in Sorrento, and basically the operation were very, very basic. So the check-in, the check-out, the cleaning, and the laundry, and all this stuff were very different from hotels to organize and to do, actually, because imagine that 15 years ago the beds were not even ready at the arrival of the customers. The laundry was not ready. Everything, because we gave the house just clean without any extras. And that, looking now how much we grew during these 20 years is amazing, because I still like to divide the story of the operation of vacation rental before Airbnb. So with the tour operators we were used to work with, like Interim, Quendet, and all the others. And after Airbnb, with Airbnb, actually, we had an exponential growth of our industry. And interesting enough is that these exponential growth give us very, very good money, just to be honest. But what gave was the growth was too fast. And so we were not ready, I think, to grow and to mature as an industry. So what we saw is, as an industry, we were not prepared to this growth, and we were supported by tons of money pushed by venture capitals and all this stuff, and we were not ready to go together as a professional property managers and to, for example, and to create a protocol. So thousands of property managers around Europe, and maybe Vanessa and Simone can say that is true, went just alone to their roads. So we grow a lot with our operation. So we begin to offer some extras. We begin to offer the pizza party or the boat or whatever. So today we are ready to offer 100% professional concierge service. But I think that we are not mature enough as an industry. We need today, I think the big challenge for the industry is to create a protocol to admit our mistakes during the last few years and to say, guys, if we want really to grow as an industry, we really need to be all together, and we really need to cooperate with the cities, for example. We need to cooperate with the condominium, with the building. If you think that in some buildings in Sorrento, in buildings with 10 or 12 apartments, there are around 5 or 6 vacation rentals, can you imagine the problem you can give to the other inhabitants of the building? So you need to really try to make the operation better. You need to have respect of the other people, and you need really to, we really need to be not arrogant as we did in 10 years.
So you think the main problem is the lack of shared protocols?
Yes, Simone, exactly. We do not have protocols shared enough around the table of the vacation rental. Simone, when I was talking with some people in a dinner a couple of months ago, a guy just told me, Piero, it's so simple to do vacation rental. You just make a couple of pictures to your apartment, you put the apartment on Airbnb, and it's done. So in two seconds, these guys destroyed the 20 years of vacation rental industry. And because I am a lover of this industry, we should not permit these guys. We should try to find a way to talk and to create like a brand. We are an industry. We are a respectful industry, but until we do not share a code of conduct, I think we should not be really prepared to be assimilated to the hotel industry.
So you think, because this is an interesting angle, you think that there is a major misunderstanding when it comes to vacation rental and what it is?
I think so. I think still there is a misunderstanding, but
like a lack of professionalism, you think?
Not really. Oh yes, for many thousand, yes, there is a lack of professionalism. I don't know if you ever had a look, a deep look at the Airbnb website where you go to visit some properties on the southern Italy, for example. So I tried to book a vacation rental in Calabria for the last week of September. Guys, the way like they do the picture are horrible. The way like they write the description is horrible. The way like they present themselves is unbelievable. So can you imagine how these guys could make a check-in?
But let me ask you something, and maybe feel free, Vanessa and Simon, feel free to answer this as well. So do you think there is a misconception about the industry, so the industry is felt as an unprofessional one, or do you think, and according to what you're saying, I think this is your answer, you think there is some level of unprofessionality when it comes to that, and that this is why you guys need shared protocols, at least, you know, a way to have pictures that are not made on an iPhone. Simon.
Yeah, I'm already sitting on the edge of my chair, and you know, hearing this from the words of Piero makes me cry. You know, I know Piero, who is probably one of the deep, hardest property manager and highest professional property manager that I've experienced, and I've experienced his product, and he's giving so much detail to his business at Feeling Italy. So I know where he comes from. The problem in our industry is that the entry barriers are too low. And I make a very simple analogy. And this is to the point that Piero is trying to raise here. When you become a hairdresser, you need to do a 4-year apprenticeship, right? So you need to do a 4-year apprenticeship to learn your job. And probably in the 4th year, before you finish, you're lucky to actually cut somebody's hair. And before that, you do hair washing, you learn on puppets and everything like that, and you scrape the floor and everything else. To become an Uber driver, you need a car. To become a property manager, you need a property, and you're in immediately. And these marketplaces have created great amount of supply, without a doubt, has created demand. As we said, it's no new invention. We've rented vacation rentals before hotels were even here. So nothing new, it was just, in a way, it was commoditized and made available. But the standards to do so are still the same. You know, smoke alarms, all the protocols that hotels have to go through about health and safety and all these things is incredible. And so far, it has been good enough for us, right? But now we're still addressing, as I said earlier, 70% of travelers who have not rented. But if we don't lift the game, we can't address those. Because now, interesting is by research that the 70% of travelers who do not rent, the reason why they don't rent is they don't feel safe, and safety standards is important. Now, interesting enough for that, so the question is, why don't you rent the property instead of taking a hotel? I said, well, safety is important to me, I take a hotel. When you ask the 30% who rent, they rent because they feel safe and they feel home away from home. So it's actually contradicting itself entirely. And this is, if we want to address these other 70%, we need to lift our game and become more professional. So it actually would require some sort of an education. You know, education is what this industry needs. Even to become a hotelier is actually something that you need an education for. But to do our job, you need a laptop, and you can start becoming a property manager. You don't even need to own the asset. You can just take a few friends and say, just give me your apartment, I'll rent it out for you. And off you go. And this is where we're now suffering brutally because but it's the opportunity. And to Vanessa's point before, she said, you know, COVID is probably the best thing, and it is brutal now to say that could have happened to our industry. First of all, we're benefiting like hell. We're growing like crazy. People want to get out of their home where they've been locked down, so they take a vacation rental, which is superb for us. But we need to lift the game now to actually make it a respectable travel vertical where people understand. And one of the main things that we have done wrong as property managers so far, also to owners, because one thing that we need to always remind ourselves is we have two customers in our business. We have a property owner and we have a guest, because we don't own the asset and the guest comes in. And what we're not good at the industry, we're really bad at it. And still today, despite the fact that we have so many opportunities to communicate this, we're not communicating our value proposition correct to the guest. What kind of experience can you have when you come and stay in a place like that? And we're not doing a good job to the owner saying, hey, we take care of everything. You just have to bank the check at the end of the month and the rest is taken care of. We're not good at doing that. And people think they can do it themselves better. They have more margin because they don't want to give it to a property manager themselves. But hey, for the guests, it's not such a good experience.
Okay, that's very interesting. Yeah. Vanessa, so what's your take?
Yeah, no, I mean, I fully agree with Simon. And it's an awareness situation, right? We need travelers to be aware that there are professional property managers out there and they should choose them rather than go for the mom and pop's business where one is probably not safe and, you know, sometimes it's not even there when you arrive, it's double booked, etc. And on the other hand, we need owners to trust property managers, clearly. And realize that this is a business, and we need regulation. You know, we need more regulation. And you know, if safety comes to our realm, you know, this would mean I think it would be like 50% of current supply would be out of business, basically, because you know, the moment we get regulated for safety. That's it. Like hotels. I mean, this is really unfair. Why are hotels regulated so much with safety? And why are we not regulated so much with safety? You know, we need to get rid of all the illegal apartments and we need to start being regulated. And, you know, I hate to say it because it's not good for me because there's less product is going to be, but the product that will be there will be professional product.
What do you think could be the solution, like a seal of guarantee?
I think the cities need to, I mean, the cities are doing, right? Some cities are being completely unfair. Hotel lobbies are, you know, unfair to us as well. There's this fight going on between hotel, and we don't have that much money in lobbying. We haven't invested so much in lobbying in our world. And this is something that we need to remedy. We need to invest more. We need more association, more powerful associations. And as they come on board, they need to propose, you know, fair regulations for us. And I know with COVID, some things have happened, including in Spain, and I expect in other countries as well. And that needs to continue. That discourse needs to continue. And talking to the regulators, talking to the government, etc.
Okay, that's very interesting. Okay. Piero, I cut you down when you were talking, but this was interesting. I wanted to have like Simon and Vanessa point of view. So I'll let you finish so we can wrap this up.
Yeah, just to finish, and again, it's so interesting. I would underline that it's hard to say, but COVID for us and the pandemic is a huge opportunity for the vacation rental. So guys, now everybody wants to stay in a vacation rental for the privacy, for to be alone, to have their own swimming pool or beds and whatever. But as I really did for Feeling Italy this year, I was focused just on cleaning and sanitation standards. Guys, if we do not offer to our guests enough cleaning and enough sanitification standards, we will lose this big opportunity. So again, I would push and I would invite Vanessa, Simone, and all the real best player in the vacation rentals, please focus all together to make this industry a real professional one.
That's a very good message.
This is this is the real game. So let's do a university, let's do the college, let's keep the guys from the school and educate these guys to do this job. Let's begin to change the toilet seats. Please,
Okay.
this is the first thing the property manager must, I think, learn. It's hard to say this is my first job. So,
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, I wanna pick this up, Simone, and obviously you can see in this industry we're very passionate about what we do. So this is why we're in it, and we love it forever. But you know, we're talking about distribution here, and I want to sort of take that back quickly on the OTA side. You know, and one thing that is brutal for us, and yes, these marketplaces have a reason for existence, but they're taking 50% of our margins, and they have revolutionized the way we distribute. And we've been lazy and we let them do the distribution, realizing that our margin is disappearing while we pay the distribution to someone else. They've done a better job, and we've given our direct channel out of our hands. And I'm totally with Vanessa that unique sites will come back, and also people will try to push direct bookings more. But the crazy thing is, and this makes me extremely sad, and this has not happened in vacation rental. And yes, I am also not going to comment on the Airbnb IPO, but what I want to say, and what hurts me the most, having been a CEO of a very large property management company, knowing what it means to change bed linen, to clean toilets, to hand over keys at 3 o'clock in the morning because the guest arrives late, and then they come home from a holiday and they say, hey, I did an Airbnb. What did you do? You didn't do an Airbnb. You actually stayed with Piero, feeling Italy, who was up at 3 in the morning to hand over the key to you to get into your house. And he's put the bed sheets on for you. He cleaned this house, and he made sure that a wine bottle was on the dining table with a basket of fruit and a card, welcome to my house. Did you see an Airbnb logo on that? No, you didn't. It's where you booked it. But the person who actually cleaned the toilet for you and made your experience unmemorable, like an unbelievable experience, because if you took Capri, that was not the guys in San Francisco. That was the guy in Feeling Italy in Sorrento who busts his backside on a daily basis to provide. And this is something we need to fight for in our industry, because we deliver the last mile and not the marketplaces.
That's a beautiful message about the last mile. Thank you, Simon. Vanessa, I want to wrap it up with you. I know you're wearing a tie for a special occasion, so.
Thank you. Recognition, right? Simon, yes, definitely. And no, I just wanted to, if you allow me, tell you why I'm wearing a tie today. We're raising awareness around the fact that there's not enough women and diversity in general on stage. Mm-hmm. That is offline stage back in those days when we had offline events, and now I find also on online stages at online conferences and webinars, not enough women represented, and so this is a message to organizers really of events to make sure to include a more diverse crowd of speakers if you can, and we have a hashtag called Tie on Stage, hashtag Tie on Stage. Please follow us and please raise awareness with us. It's quite unfair that today there's only Federica and me, right?
Well, I think I have a tie. I can wear a tie to support it. Okay.
Please,
it's a Muppets one.
To everyone.
Okay. I'm going to grab it.
Thanks so much, guys.
Okay, guys.
So
bye bye.
I go and grab my tie, so you can wait for me. I come back in 1 sec.
Yeah, I will roll the words. It's 3 hours. We are live streaming. I see already Amit, Max, and Sebastian holding ready to start for the last chapter, where we will actually talk about distribution 2.0. After this long, storytelling event, we finally arrived to the focus of this program. But I want to personally thank you, in particular, Piero. We are very friends. We know each other since many years, and I can confirm that the operational side of vacation rental is very hard. It's very hard from putting together a protocol, whatever said Piero. I help Piero sometime during the weekend to hold clients arriving late night, do check-in, the key is not working, the door is not opening, the door was the wrong one. Actually, I went in the wrong house to do the check-in, and the client was waiting in another apartment. So I had a very crazy time with the Piero. It was a great experience, and it was always said to me since many years, and so why do you still in this hotels industry? Move to the vacation rental, move to the vacation rental. That's going to be the future. And actually he was right, because I see that today more than yesterday, the quality of property and the houses is improving, and for some angle, and of course more than yesterday, today apartments, as Simone said, are a very good alternative for this pandemic situation. And yeah, so that was my point. And thanks again, Piero, to be with us today. I know he had some little issue at home, and thanks for coming and take part of the session. Thanks, Simon. Really appreciated your overview about the history of vacation rental. Thank you, Vanessa. We did already 2 webinars this week together. And I promise you I will put more women. Actually, if you have colleagues and professional in our industry that you would like to introduce to me, just put 2 rows, send them to me, and I will definitely get them on board for more live streaming and support.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Piero. Thanks, Simon. Thanks, Vanessa. See you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao, grazie mille.